Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Sunday, March 19th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, ready to break down the Sunday NHL slate. And as usual, late season, more Sunday games than normal. How about a 7 spot on the board today? 7 games on this Sunday. Looking forward to breaking them down in just a second. But before we do that, we do have to look back and turn the page back on the massive Saturday slate that we saw yesterday. Ton of games. Started early with Colorado. Taking care of business in impressive fashion, considering what maybe would have been a potential flat spot, but none whatsoever. They thumped Detroit 5-1 to get the day started. Bruins now back-to-back wins, calming the waters and the worries that maybe later in the season that they'd be, just going through the motions a bit. Nice 5-2 win against the Minnesota Wild. Yesterday, we saw the Winnipeg Jets get a huge 2 points, coming back from a deficit and winning in overtime 3-2 over the Nashville Predators. And to be quite honest, this is a Winnipeg team that deserved to win that game. They outplayed, outshot, outchanced Nashville. UC Soros did a lot, basically, to keep it, to keep it as respectable for Nashville. But Winnipeg, gutsy effort. A big 2 points as they try to maintain their hold on one of the wild card spots in the West. And it was, your Adam Lowry's, your depth forwards that really were the difference for them in the win yesterday. Edmonton 6-4 over Seattle, about as easy as it gets for me, like in that game over the total. Seattle just continues to have some issues, not playing well, and Edmonton playing very well. And how about Evander Kane with the hat trick yesterday? That's the one thing that we were waiting to see really from Edmonton, is that they've got a lot of things going in their favor right now with the way they're playing. They've been better defensively. Skinner's been good in net. McDavid, Draisaitl have been excellent. Nugent Hopkins as well. But the one thing they were missing was Evander Kane, since returning from that. Remember, he had that laceration where he had, from the Tampa game earlier this year. And it's taken him time to really work his way back into form. But I think he's back, folks, after what we saw yesterday with that hat trick. Very impressive. And Edmonton with a 6-4 win there over Seattle. Carolina, man, that was not easy for them against the Philadelphia Flyers. They blew the regulation bet for me, but I did get the first period puck line at least with Carolina, but they end up winning 5-4 in overtime against the Flyers. I didn't love Freddie Anderson's performance, and that does continue to concern me if I'm Carolina. He hasn't been nearly as sharp in net lately, but Hurricanes find a way to overcome it. They tie it in the dying seconds to force overtime, and then they beat the Flyers 5-4 in OT. Florida comes back from a 2-0 deficit with 4 unanswered goals in the third period to stun the Devils 4-2. That's now 3 losses in a row for the Devils. And now on a back-to-back, they got to go to Tampa tonight, which we'll talk about in just a second. So definitely doesn't get any easier for the Devils, who are suddenly slumping just a little bit. Nothing to panic about, but just a mini little funk for them right now. My best bet was the over with the Lightning and the Habs. It gets there with room to spare. 5-3 Tampa Bay. Pretty cut and dry decision. I thought that we were going to see goals in that game when you look at it, as far as, Elliott being in net for Tampa last night, and obviously Montreal's issues defensively, which continued against Tampa Bay last night, and it ended up being a 5-3 in that game. Toronto 5-4 over Ottawa. Matt Murray, he gave up 4 goals, but he was magnificent. He faced 50 Ottawa shots in that game. He played a hell of a game in net for the Leafs against his former team, and they end up winning in a shootout. We cashed the draw at my Ottawa draw split. We lose Ottawa, obviously, because they lose in a shootout, but the draw hits for us in that Leafs Senators game, which was good to see. The Rangers, so much for this great, awesome, on paper ABC television game last night. It was a blowout. It was over early, 6-0 Rangers. And, man, we're starting to see the potential of this offense from the New York Rangers and what they might be capable of. It was a great night for them. It was not a good night again for Tristan Jarry. And I'm almost at the point, Alex, where Mike Sullivan, maybe we got to go to Smith, moving forward a little bit, because Jarry they've given him opportunity after opportunity, chance after chance, returning from that injury. to find his game again. And look, it's not easy when you're coming off an injury and you've been out for a while, but they've given him a lot of chances now to find his game, and he still hasn't found his game, and it's becoming a concern for Pittsburgh, and almost to the point where now it's to Smith. You got to run with him a little bit now, moving forward in net.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they want to, solidify a playoff position, you have to play Smith the majority of the rest of the way, and he has to be your game one starter because he's carried the team. And just like Jari did, last year after a bad season, he came back and was in great form, and we wonder what we see from him. And this is just what Tristan Jari is going to be. He's a guy who's had some injury issues up and down, and he just has been, inconsistent. He can give you some great goaltending, but he can give you some really bad goaltending. There's really not much gray area with Tristan Jari. And, like I said, Sullivan and company, they got to recognize that. And maybe he's not the guy that's going to carry you the rest of the way, or certainly carry you deep into the postseason.
Yeah, and an ugly night for Pittsburgh, 6-0. They'll have to wipe the slate clean in a hurry from that one. The late games last night, 3-2 Vancouver in a shootout over LA, a little bit of an upset there. The Kings, although the Kings played I thought they played well enough to win. They carried the play, but Demko was terrific in net, which he's very capable of being. And Vancouver gets the win 3-2 over the Kings. Very opportunistic was Vancouver. They tied it, and then they won in a shootout over the Kings last night. Arizona 4-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks, and I'm sure that's a result that appeals a lot more to our guy Alex B. Smith. There, that's what we want to see a little bit out of Chicago. Is like let's think about the long term here and the potential of getting Mr. Bedard, and certainly results like last night will help, especially because they're in direct competition with Arizona for lottery odds when it comes to the draft lottery later in the spring. So 4-2 win there for Arizona in that game. 4-1 Islanders over the Sharks. Good to see that. I was on Isles in regulation, got the job done there. And we're both happy, Alex and I, to see Dallas and Calgary go to overtime. That was probably my favorite draw on the entire card yesterday, and I know it was right up there for Alex. And 5-5, back and forth, crazy hockey game, a lot of goals, a lot of offense, and a overtime victory for the Dallas Stars. Man alive, what a couple of wonderful goals Jason Robertson scored last night for the Dallas Stars. That overtime goal to go on the left hand, the backhand, and roof it over Markstrom, the move he made to get open. He's a spectacular player and a spectacular season that he's had. I think Markstrom kind of thought maybe there was a bit of goalie interference. Didn't look like a lot, and obviously they said there wasn't enough, and he slams his goal stick going off the ice. He's done that a lot this year, Jacob Markstrom. So you can tell he's a frustrated guy. He's been inconsistent, and the more we look at it for Calgary, the more it's getting tougher and tougher for them to try to make the playoffs, as they do get a point, but they lose a point to Winnipeg, lose a point of ground to Winnipeg, and that's not something they can afford at this stage of the season. Alex, your thoughts on a massive Saturday card?
I had a random thought, but we could probably talk about this later. Markstrom for Demko would be a really interesting trade in the offseason. Send Markstrom back to where he started in Vancouver. Demko definitely needs to change his scenery. I think maybe Vancouver and, the fact that he'll be in the same division playing those old teams, maybe that, sparks something. So
you think at some point he wants to play competitive, contending hockey. You're right.
Exactly. And Vancouver's not going to do that soon. And Markstrom just needs a reset. But anyway, as far as the games last night, start with the Hawks and Arizona. From a fan standpoint, fantastic. Yeah, 0 points, take the loss, and continue the tank. From a betting standpoint, was awful because it seemed like this game was going to go to overtime. With about 3.5 minutes left, Arizona takes the lead. They get the empty netter, and that's all she wrote. So that was tough. Unfortunately, that was the best bet I had. I liked that draw just a little bit more than Dallas-Calgary. That should have been my best bet. That was a fun game to watch. It's a damn shame that Calgary won't be a playoff team because another Dallas-Calgary series would have been a lot of fun to potentially see if that could have matched up. But like I said, great win for Dallas. I think Dallas now, that the hiccup, they finally gotten over that. It wasn't the cleanest win. I'd like to see their next game or next two games be cleaner victories. But as far as like the future and people worried about, is this Dallas team really going to be a contender in the West? Yeah, I still think they're still dangerous in the West. This is still a team you do not want to match up with in a 7-game series. With a goaltender like Ottinger who can steal you a game or two with that offense, like you said, Robertson and company, just when they had dialed in. And that's the thing. You only need Ottinger to steal you 1 or 2 games. You only need that big offensive explosion 1 or 2 games, and now you've won 4-7. You advance the next round. So this is still a dangerous Dallas team, and I like what I saw from them last night, even though it was a back and forth kind of a firefight. Looking at the Boston and Minnesota game, which, was interesting. Was wondering what we'd see from both sides. That off the road trip for the Wild, we kind of expected that could be a bit of a flat spot, but we thought with Boston too, like how jazzed up can you really be for, you had a day off and now it's this 1 p.m. start local time. They just, went in there, all business as usual and got the win, got the 2 points in regulation, snapped a 14-game point streak for the Wild. And, it's funny because you see them climbing up, and then all of a sudden it seems like every loss they take, it seems like, oh, well, now they're falling out of favor. They're probably not going to win this division. It's just really weird, like how one game seems to derail everything. And it's been that back and forth kind of pendulum for a while. And I think that's the one thing that's probably going to keep them from really making some noise and doing some damage in the postseason is that the pendulum has swung so much already this year that, you can't have those high and lows in the playoffs. You can't feel low losing game one and say that the series is over. Nor can you feel too high and say that this thing's wrapped up. And their mindset now in the regular season is like that. So it's only going to get amplified once they get into the postseason. I just don't, if they lose, that's a team I have circled. Watch and probably don't even bet their first game of the playoffs. Watch how they react and respond and what the result is. And you can pretty much go from there what's going to happen. And chances are if they lose game one of the playoffs, whoever they play, it's probably going to end in about 5 or 6 games because that's just mentally where they're at physically, and they've been playing well, and we've seen guys chip in, but just their mental state is really soft right now in my mind. And of these teams in the Western Conference, the teams that are fighting for it, they've in a better mental state, I think, than a team like Minnesota that's in seemingly and kind of almost they're not cruising. They still know that they have a division to fight for. They need positioning, but it's just mentally there's just something still a bit off with that Minnesota team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And they're in action again, back-to-back matinee home games for the Minnesota Wild. They're in action against Washington. We will, of course, be getting to that game momentarily. And we will begin the Sunday card now. And we will begin first, though, with the Boston Bruins taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Boston minus 190, road favorite, 6.5 the total. In this game, it is a back-to-back on the road for the Bruins. They were obviously in Minnesota yesterday, and they get the 5-2 victory over the Minnesota Wild. In that game. 3 assists, by the way, for Brad Marchand. Very solid game for him. And it's pretty impressive here with how the way they played. This is the end of a 5-game road trip, 2-2 for the Bruins so far on this road trip. Derek Forbort didn't play against Minnesota yesterday. It looks like he's going to be out once again on the blue line here for for Boston, rather, in this early start this afternoon for the Bruins. Krejci also out for the Boston Bruins. So that's a significant loss. One of your top 2 centers not going to play here in this game for the Bruins. So definitely they'll be feeling the impact of that absence here in this game. We'll see how it shakes up the line combinations here going into this early start affair, which starts in about half an hour for this Bruins and Sabres game. Looks like Marchand, Bergeron, DeBrusk, Zacha, Coyle looks like is the guy that's going to move up to that second line center spot with Pasternak and Zacha going into this. So Charlie Coyle might have some value in the props now because of that, moving up to the second line center spot for this game for the Boston Bruins. Third line looks to be Bertuzzi, Nosek, and Frederick. So that's the way it pans out here for Boston. Up front on the blue line, Grzelcyk, McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo, Zaboral is going to draw into the lineup because it looks like Orlov's also going to miss this game. Day off, maintenance day is what they're calling it for Dmitry Orlov. Give him rest on a back-to-back. So I definitely think, to me, I don't want to say Boston's taking a powder here in this game, but this is a Buffalo spot or nothing to me. Just the way it looks, and if you read the tea leaves here a little bit, this is looking like Boston is, let's be honest. I mean, Krejci's out, Forbort's out, they're sitting. Orlov, who's been excellent and a terrific defenseman really in his whole career with Washington, this season with Washington and now with Boston. They're sitting him out for rest reasons. I think that's basically writing on the wall that this game is not of utmost importance for the Boston Bruins, especially after getting the win yesterday against the Minnesota Wild. So be careful with them. It probably will be Swayman and net, you would expect, after we saw Allmark yesterday. And in that game. Now, Buffalo, the problem with trusting Buffalo is they're obviously 1-6 in their last 7 games. They've struggled. Their only win was against Toronto. They're losing to teams they shouldn't, like Philadelphia on Friday night. These are points they have to get. They're falling out of the playoff race. Where are their heads at right now? But for a home game on a Sunday afternoon, Buffalo's been good in these spots. They really have this season, these home games, these matinee, early start, weekend home games. I remember Washington just recently in a Sunday afternoon home game, and they put the boots to Washington in that game, Buffalo. So I think Buffalo does show up today. So even with my concerns about their current form, I'm either going to be the hockey betting god or I'm going to be the hockey betting goat after this game. And I'm not saying goat is in greatest of all time. It's the bad kind of goat, with my picks on this game and what I'm betting here. But I'm going to go first period money line with Buffalo in this game at plus 130. I'm going to go a little on the full game money line, plus 150 to plus 160 range, and a sprinkle on the draw as well, because that's usually what I'm looking to do with the dog, is also put a tiny little bit on the draw as well. So it's a three-way bet here. It's a first period full game money line on Buffalo, split it up with those two, and also going to go small with the draw, which is currently plus 352 at Pinnacle. So plus 130 first period money line, plus 160 full game money line, and a little bit on the draw. So here we go. We're either going to look like an idiot or we're going to be a genius in a few hours from now. Alex, what do you think here? Bruins and Sabres.
Well, this is a game that kind of defines, I wouldn't say, what's the word I'm looking for? The phrase I'm looking for. I wouldn't say it defines your style of handicapping, but it's a game that kind of can fit every mold of style of handicapping. So you're looking at it from a situational point of that, well, this is not really an important game for Boston. Buffalo at home, they've always played, upper teams well this season, play well in these day games. They're used to the start time. Both teams are used to the start time. So you're taking a shot with Buffalo. That's not the worst thing to do in the world. If you're a trend-based handicapper, there's no way you could ever look at playing Buffalo in this spot because they've lost 7 of the last 27 meetings against this team, and it's been ugly. It's been ugly. But like I said, so those two things conflict, and in my head, I like both of those angles. I throw all of that out. I want nothing to do with the side here. I'm strictly looking at a total, and I'm actually looking at this first period over. I was debating on whether I would like to wait and get 1.5 in game or go 2. I'm probably going to go and lay and I'll get plus money, but I'm going to go with 2 goals over in the first period. You look at Boston, 6-2 the last 8 on the road in the first period over. Buffalo 5-1 the last 6 at home. So you have those two things match up, and like you said, this could be does Boston come in business like yesterday, or are they sluggish and Buffalo takes advantage? I think we see the pace and story flow of this game happen in the first 20 minutes. And either way, it seems like it would go over. So I'll be going on that first period over, and I'll make some adjustments in game accordingly. But I don't want nothing to do with the side right now. Just looking, like I said, these are two gigantic conflicts of interest, depending on what style of handicapping you kind of lean into.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no doubt Boston's still better of these two teams, and they've owned Buffalo. That is definitely something you have to factor in. I do actually lean to I probably will bet over 6.5. The more I look at it, Boston now has hit a couple overs as these games now are of lesser importance, I think, when you look at the fact that obviously they've got everything sewn up right now, this Boston Bruins team, and Buffalo has trended over, and especially in these day games. I'm pretty sure if I look at the day game track record for the Buffalo Sabres, we'll find that they've trended more over than under in day games this year, the Sabres. Yeah, 5-2 to the over in day games this year for the Buffalo Sabres. So that 6.5 over could get there, in my opinion. I could see, the last 2 meetings, like I said, have gone over with the Bruins versus the Sabres as well. So the over does make some sense here. And Alex liking the first period over in particular. Prop-wise, I mean, for me, for Buffalo, it's Cousins and Quinn seem to be undervalued commodities for me. I definitely think those are 2 guys that you can definitely see more, make more of an impact. No question about that. On the Boston side, I'm going back to Pavel Zacha, just with his point prop. He's just been money, this guy. No question about it. 4 straight games with a point. He's only minus 110 to get a point this afternoon. Again, 4 straight games with a point. We've talked about him incessantly here on these Ice Guys shows. So definitely Trent Frederick, a goal in the last 3 games. I mean, yeah, there's something to that. Like, he's not getting the minutes that, other forwards on this team are, but he's making the most of it playing on that third line. And, I don't hate that look either. Take a shot that maybe he keeps the goal streak going for the Bruins. And it's plus 500, by the way, at FanDuel for Trent Frederick to find the back of the net in this game. So not a bad look. Again, a guy that's contributing some depth scoring for the Boston Bruins, which is good to see because I guess if there's one area that is concerned, like they got a loaded blue line, the top 6 is great. Can they get some punch from the third line and the fourth line, especially at playoff time? And Trent Frederick is helping that out. And I do think Charlie Coyle, there's some value with his props in some form because he's playing with Pasternak and Zacha moving up to the second line center spot with Krejci out today. So definitely some value with Charlie Coyle if you're going to look at his props here for this game today for them. Alex Tuch, by the way, for the Buffalo Sabres. I want to point out him because he scored 2 goals against Toronto. Since he's been back, he's been shooting the puck. 2 of the 3 games he's gone over his shot prop. I think the over shots might be worth a look on Alex Tuch here this afternoon for the Buffalo Sabres in this game. All right, next up we've got, by the way, I'm just going to see if we've got an update because we're waiting on it in terms of the starting goaltenders. We should get it momentarily here for this hockey game with it starting in half an hour.
UPL confirmed.
UPL confirmed. Yeah, there's another reason to like the over right there. UPL. When's the last time UPL's given up less than 4 goals? I think it's been a very long time. But Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Jeremy Swayman is your confirmed goalie matchup. All right, Washington, Minnesota. Minnesota minus 155 home favorites. 5.5, 6 is what I put in the graphic because you see some books have 5.5, some have 6 when it comes to this total here for the Capitals and the Wild. I like this game over, especially at 5.5, which is at Bet Online right now. So Dave Mason doing me a solid right now at Bet Online with 5.5 at minus 130 there with the total in this game. I think it gets over. I mean, Minnesota, we saw it again yesterday, and Alex talked about it, and we've actually talked about it in the past with Minnesota, these home games on the weekend in the afternoon. They're higher scoring, and I think we see that here. And all of a sudden, Minnesota, which was an under machine for the longest time, they're starting to trend the other way now, playing to some overs here as of late. It should be, I would expect here, Marc-Andre Fleury in this game. Yes, it is on the back-to-back. I'd assume Charlie Lindgren will get the start here for the Washington Capitals in this game because Darcy Kemper still bothered and with that, and he left practice actually Saturday with an upper body injury. So don't expect him. It's probably going to be Lindgren. And I don't think they're in a rush to throw him in there anyway because Darcy Kemper's kind of not been as sharp lately in goal. So I do expect Lindgren will be the goalie for the Capitals. They're still without Jensen on the blue line day-to-day for him. And, of course, John Carlson out. And Alex Ovechkin on the injury report showing up here for the Capitals. Game-time decision with a lower body injury for this game. So keep that in mind. So that could be a big blow for the Capitals, as it always is when Ovi doesn't suit up, especially now because Ovechkin comes into this game on a 3-game point streak for the Capitals. So playing well, obviously, as he normally does. So we'll see if he's going to be able to be on the ice for the Capitals this afternoon. But I still like over 5.5, 6 at most books, 5.5 Bet Online, and a couple others. But I do like that. Side, I'm off it. I'm not going to lay this kind of price with Minnesota. But without Ovi, it probably is their game to win, especially after a disappointing loss against Boston yesterday. You'd think they want to bounce back, not lose 2 home games in a row this weekend. And Washington's one of those teams where one game they're up, they come back and beat Buffalo, and you're thinking, wow, big for their playoff push. And how the hell do you lay a fucking egg like that against St. Louis on Friday night? I know Joel Hofer is maybe a capable goalie long-term for the Blues, but you shouldn't lose like that at home to the St. Louis Blues. So your guess is as good as mine what the hell we're going to get from the Washington Capitals today. Flip a coin on that. Good game, bad game, who knows? That's the kind of season they've had. What do you think here, Alex? Capitals, Wild.
It's a pass. I would love to play Wild regulation just based on what I'm seeing from the Caps. Like I said, I think that was a real telling loss by St. Louis. And I think, like I said, they're on their way out, especially now if Ovechkin doesn't play. Maybe went and hung out and had a few shots of vodka at Moscow on the Hill. It's a pretty cool spot in the area. I don't know if that's the case, but I mean, just like I said, the Caps. I mean, it's been a long season, right, for the Caps. It's been an emotional season, especially Ovechkin, of course, obviously losing his dad, going through the goal record, and having that being brought up. And we talked about how we think that record talk in the middle of the year probably was hovering around the Capitals for a while to the point of where it may have taken them off of their game at times. And that on top of all the mounting injuries. It's just been a really rough year for them. And, it just seems like they're going to probably just kind of tumble and roll down the rest of the flight of stairs for the end of the season. Minnesota, of course, like I said, up and down. And you wonder, they should be fired up and motivated after having that point streak snapped. Another home game, another day game. But, you can't trust this team to finish off something in 60. They've, been the kings of overtime lately. And the fact that they lost in regulation yesterday, if I went and bet Minnesota in regulation today, this game would be 3-3 going to overtime, probably going into a shootout. So I'm probably just going to stay away from it. Wild should win this one and win it decisively, but when they've needed to win games, especially at home against opponents that haven't been looking that good, chances are they make it much tighter than it is.
Yeah. By the way, whoever's in net for Washington, I think a decent little bet is the save prop for the Capital goalie. And it probably will be Lindgren. I think they could get peppered a little bit today. Minnesota coming out firing after the loss to Boston yesterday. And look, if you look at the Capitals, I've mentioned the injuries on the blue line. I think especially on the road, it could show up for them a little bit. You actually look at some of their recent road games. They gave up 35 shots to the Rangers. They gave up 40 shots to the Devils, 40 shots to the Kings, 41 shots even to the San Jose Sharks. So on the road, this team is yielding a shit ton of shots on goal allowed. So this could be a game where you look at a saves prop for whoever's in net for Washington, and we think it's going to be Charlie Lindgren for them here in this game. As far as the other props go for this game, with the I still like Hartman shots, Hartman point. I've always that's the routine bet. Boldy, by the way, for Minnesota, Matt Boldy, who's not exactly been when they were going through that under run, Minnesota playing all those tight, defensive-minded, low-scoring games. Matt Boldy wasn't exactly lighting up the score sheet, but now he's on a 4-game point streak. If you don't mind laying minus 155 with him to get a point, that's probably a good bet here. He's on a nice little run there as far as a point scoring streak is concerned. And what else stands out here in this game for props? That's about it. It's probably not going to be a huge prop game. I still say on the Washington side, Rasmus Sandin, Oshie, those are the guys you target. Rasmus Sandin, of course, is playing number one power play now, top pair minutes. He's been able to produce offensively since joining the Capitals, and really TJ Oshie and Strome for that matter. We've talked about Strome's been on a bit of a point streak as well, and Oshie has 5 points in the last 5 games for the Capitals. So those are the Capitals you target: Sandin, Oshie, and Strome. I think, especially with Ovechkin is a no-go today for the Capitals. All right, next up we've got it's let me just see, not Bruins and Wild. I don't think there we go. Let's got to get rid of that. There we go. Screwed up here. There we go. Columbus and Vegas next up. Vegas minus 310, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. You got the Columbus Blue Jackets continuing this Western road trip. They did lose the first 2 games of this road. Actually, they won the first against San Jose. That's the game I really like the over and they ended up winning 6-5 in an overtime, but they've lost the last 2 against the better teams. I shouldn't say Anaheim's better, but LA, they lost 4-1, and then 7-4 against Anaheim on Friday night, what was a crazy back and forth game. That was the best bet for me, that show over. And I know Alex had a pretty sizable piece of the Anaheim Ducks in that game, and it was a lot more stressful than it needed to be. But the Anaheim Ducks eventually get the 7-4 win. He almost got a broken hand because of that game, Alex, in that Friday night affair. But Anaheim got the job done. Not so stress-free, but they got the job done, 7-4 over the Columbus Blue Jackets. And we talked yesterday. Seems like this team is more interested in the sun, getting away from the cold of Ohio in the middle of winter, the sun and the warm weather of California, which they'll also experience here in Vegas, playing golf and just doing some recreational shit with the team seems more important than winning hockey games right now. It got that sense to it. And so to me, I don't know if I'm really ready to back Columbus here at all. And they've got a Vegas team that ought to be pretty pissed coming into this game after a 7-2 loss against Calgary. Which, again, you say what happened to Vegas. I'll tell you what happened to Vegas. They had a great road trip, and they're coming back home after a very lengthy time on the road, and they had nothing in the tank. They had nothing in the tank against Calgary the other night. You could tell that was not the Vegas Golden Knights we've seen of late. It was just a really tough scheduling spot off the long roadie, and a Calgary team playing with desperation, playing with urgency. I mean, you just have to look at the shots for, Alex. They only had 19 shots on goal for a team that's been getting into the high 20s and 30s in shots on goal in recent games. They just had nothing mentally, nothing physically, that game against Calgary. back home off that road trip. I expect a lot better here from the Vegas Golden Knights. And again, when you play these bottom feeder teams, if you can find that the superior team is motivated, isn't going to take them lightly, they should be able to get the job done. They are battling injuries. That's the one little drawback here for Vegas is obviously, they've had Mark Stone out for a while. They've got multiple goalies, Brossoit, Leonard, and Thompson out. Nicholas Waugh, who's been a good depth center for them, is out. Colasar's out. Will Carrier, another good depth forward for them, also out. So they definitely have some injuries, a little depleted right now, but I think they can power through that here against this Columbus Blue Jackets team. Probably pounce on them early and win pretty decisively. So you look at the price here, they're minus 320, pretty expensive. The puck line's not great value, minus 1.5, minus 120, but I do think that first period puck line is the best option here, minus a half, plus 110 at DraftKings. I do like that first period puck line here on the Vegas Golden Knights. Unfortunately, the team total here is 4.5, but you could do the old BetMGM trick, get it over 4 with the team total and around minus 125, at least a little bit of a better price. And if it lands right on 4, you push. So the team total also with Vegas makes some sense here in this game. Keep in mind, Elvis Merzlikins still out. So you're obviously going to see either a Daniil Tarasov or Michael Hutchinson. I would think Tarasov gets the start, but Tarasov has definitely struggled in his second stint here with the Jackets this season. He had a couple of good games that first stint, but second stint here has not been pretty for him, and now he is 3-11 on the season with a 3.56 goals against average and 900 save percentage. So if it is Tarasov, might be another tough day at the office for him, given how I expect Vegas to really not take this Blue Jackets team lightly off the 7-2 loss to the Flames in their first game home off that road trip. Alex, what do you think here, Jackets, Golden Knight?
So in the beginning of a season, when you have a team, have a day off on the road and they take a little outing here or there, it's usually, like I said, it's a bonding experience. Some of the new acquisitions, getting to meet some of the veteran guys, and that's just the kind of thing that it builds a team and, could, give you some momentum during the course of the season and having that camaraderie. But when it's after a 7-4 loss against the Anaheim Ducks and you're officially eliminated from the playoffs and it's, mid-March during March Madness and you go to Las Vegas, chances are you're probably, you're getting different hotel rooms elsewhere. You're getting, setting up golf outings. You're probably watching games, having a few pops and something else. And now you got to get up at 1 p.m. local time, get ready to play, like you said, a pissed off Vegas Golden Knights team that is playoff bound and looking to probably take out some of that anger and frustration on a Columbus team that couldn't give a half a fuck about what's going on right now on a sheet of ice. This is a great spot for Vegas. I'm going to give you my 3 plays, but I'm going to give you 2 sets of numbers for each of them because I played these yesterday. Some of these have changed, and some of these numbers are now available at different books. Yesterday at MGM, I bet Vegas first period puck line laying a whole goal, so that's -1 at plus 225. So that means they have to have a lead of more than 1 goal to cash that ticket. I also bet Vegas team total in the full game over 4, as you mentioned, Ian, at BetMGM. I laid 115. It's now at -125. I still think that is worth a price to lay for this spot, which is something I don't say too often. Also, like a half unit on the first period over 2. I got it at plus 120. That's now around in a lot of places as high as plus 130. So you can grab that virtually anywhere. It's probably the easiest of the 3 to grab because that team total of 4.5 kind of thing, that's really only at MGM. Ian, do you know of any other books that will move it on or off the hook for a team total?
There's a reason I always mention MGM because it's pretty much the only one I've noticed. Okay. Yeah,
I wasn't sure if like 365 or anybody did that. Okay, so MGM is your go-to for the team total if you like team total. For first period over and first period puck line, you should be able to find at least something decent. Like I see a plus 105 at Bet Online for that first period puck line. So that's something you can do if you don't feel comfortable laying the whole goal at plus 225. So we're all about Vegas. We're all about Vegas early. They should put Columbus away. And also going to look for some live stuff in the second toward the third period. I think Columbus, if they're really, really fatigued, then the legs might give out on them. Vegas could just run up the score. We might have a couple chances to hit that next to score prop with Vegas. So, and we always see plus money with that in the third period because it's just a battle against time essentially. So that's what we're gearing up for. This is a huge day involving this one game. This is really kind of the only game I'm going to be personally betting. And I've already got my pregame bets, and I'm just going to be hitting this thing live. So.
There we go. That's the game. I think we know where the best bet's coming from at the end of the show. We're not splitting the atom, figuring out which game he's targeting for best bet on this Sunday card. But yeah, I agree with a lot of the sentiment there. Vegas spot clearly. You wonder where the Columbus heads are at. They just got officially eliminated too, and you're enjoying the sunshine and the warm weather of California and now Nevada. Just how stoked are you for an early start game against Vegas? And I know Vegas, again, if the better team against the worst team, if they don't look past them and they're focused and they're on the task at hand, they should win. And in this case, they should roll. So I would expect Vegas to have a pretty good game here this afternoon. All right, the rest of the games are at night. We'll go to New Jersey and Tampa Bay. We've got Tampa Bay minus 130, home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. Devils suddenly a little bit of a slump for them of late, no question. I mean, not playing nearly as well. It's been a pretty grind of a schedule, though. If you look at it for the Devils, back-to-back again. Well, it started with Carolina, which they did win 3-0 at home. They lose back-to-back against Tampa. The second one was tough. It was a shootout, could have went their way, 4-3 that game. And then they have a 2-0 lead against the Panthers yesterday, and they end up losing that game by a score of 4-2. So tough loss there for the Devils. That's their third straight loss now going into this matchup here on a back-to-back against Tampa Bay. But I like the Devils here. There's a reason why Tampa's only minus 130 in this game, and that money's actually come in on New Jersey. This is New Jersey's time to snap the skid. Do you think they want to lose 3 games in the span of 1 week to the Tampa Bay Lightning? No, they do not. I expect this is that game where New Jersey digs in, brings it, and gets the job done. I like them here, plus 110, short road dogs in this game. Tampa Bay, by the way, terrible record on a back-to-back this year, 3-10. How about that for this Tampa Bay Lightning team on a back-to-back this season? 3-10. New Jersey 7-2 on a back-to-back this year, 3-1 off a loss on the second of back-to-back games. I like this situation for the Devils. They're actually 4-0, perfect 4-0 on the second of back-to-back games in their last 4 tries in this spot for the New Jersey Devils here. So, they got the win 5-3. It wasn't pretty for Tampa against a Montreal team that is really reeling defensively, but they got the win on a night where they were honoring some Lightning players from the past. Before the game, they had a ceremony there, so it was a ceremony night too, and now you're playing the Devil. You already beat them twice. Yeah, Devils spot, Devils win, plus 110. Alex, what do you think here, Devils Lightning?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think the Devils win this game. I think it was pretty clear that they were yesterday was a look-ahead spot for them, and gearing up to play them for the second time in a week. And like I said, this just feels like it's going to be a good back-and-forth game. A third time in a week, right? Exactly. So, and that's funny how we're seeing these kind of like I said, we've seen a lot of these back-to-back home spots, or literally like back-to-back.
Third time in a week. This is Pittsburgh Rangers once again,
right? Yeah. So we're seeing a lot of this, and it's good because we're seeing some good animosity built up for what could be potential playoff matchup. Now, obviously, things will have to shake out for these two teams to play each other in a postseason, but it should be a good, fun game. I expect that kind of intensity and style. And I actually like the draw here at plus 345. I think New Jersey wins it, but this thing's not going to be easy at all. Tampa Bay is going to fight hard, especially now they've been winning and getting that win streak. We know how Tampa Bay, they're very, I wouldn't say they're streaky because we've seen them, go on some hot runs, cold runs, but the way that they get hot right now is very streaky. When they win one, they tend to string them together 2, 3, 4. The losses have been a bit choppy. They've just been more present overall. So, I expect a good Tampa effort. I expect a good Jersey effort. It's been a fun game, and I think it goes past 60 minutes. So give me the draw at plus 345.
All right, good stuff. And we've got no goalies confirmed yet for this game, but we assume it's going to be Vanacek and Vasilevsky. Those are the projections. Definitely Vasilevsky because it was Elliott yesterday against Montreal, and it should be Vanacek here for New Jersey here in this game tonight with the Devils and the Lightning. As far as props go for this matchup here with the Devils and the Lightning, there's a few that stand out as far as I'm concerned. Definitely when you look at the Devils, coming into this one, that was disheartening, obviously, what happened yesterday. But I think you look at the way the lines are set up for them here today and what you've seen from them lately. I definitely think Jesper Boquist, just as a bargain bin, he got on the score sheet yesterday. Definitely could look in that direction. I'm going to go back to that Andre Palat belief that he shows up here against his former team. You look at the matchup here. I know he's been really, really cold offensively, 6 straight games without a point. If you are betting form, you're not taking Andre Palat player props right now. But I just get that sense here against Tampa Bay. He's going to find a way to make an impact tonight, get on the score sheet. He's still getting minutes, second line for this Devils team. So I still think he's worth a look. As far as streaking players, by the way, Mikhail Sergachev, 8 of his last 10, he's gone over his shots. Braden Point, 7 of his last 10, he's gotten to points. Mercer's cooled off a little bit. So, we've kind of pumped the brakes with that prop. Victor Hedman over shots, I really like. That's my favorite. Victor Hedman's really starting to pound the puck on net again. Over 2.5 shots on goal. He's gone over that number in 4 straight games. So going back to the well with the Victor Hedman shots on goal prop makes sense. Vasilevsky, I think, could get peppered today. So I think the Vasilevsky saves prop is worth a look here in this matchup for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Like I say, Hedman is really starting to streak toward, shooting the puck quite a bit more often. So definitely there's some props there that I would favor in this game here. And Timo Meier, look, we were waiting for Timo Meier to really get rolling a bit for the New Jersey Devils. His shot numbers have gone up, so the overshots with Timo Meier makes some sense as well for the New Jersey Devils going into this matchup here with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I did forget to mention some Vegas props, by the way, in that Columbus-Vegas game. Pietrangelo to get a point, I've talked about that. He's been in good form lately. I think his props definitely worth a look for the Vegas Golden Knights. No question. He's been contributing. Marchessault has actually had some success against Columbus in the past. And Riley Smith, man, 7 straight games with a point for him for the Vegas Golden Knights. So he's got a nice little Dawson Mercer thing going right now. Riley Smith for the Vegas Golden Knights, 7 straight games with a point. So how do you not bet his point prop in that game against Columbus? All right, good stuff. That's the first 4 games of this Sunday card. We got the last 3 games still to go. Hit the like button. We appreciate all of you joining us on YouTube, 205 live viewers. Back with the rest of the card in just a moment, right after we hear from our friends at Gramco.
Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Gramco. Whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, court, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta-8 THC products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta-8 products, including vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable, legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you. Gramco is also available at many American retailers as well. You can get the best Delta-8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. And if you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code ICEGUYS, you will get 20% off of every order, and any order that's on the site over $50 will be shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta-8 products today.
All right, we're back, and we have 3 games left. We move along now. It is next up the Nashville Predators and the New York Rangers. Rangers minus 250, home favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the under. Big blowout win at home against Pittsburgh, nationally televised game. Doesn't feel like a Rangers spot, maybe flat perhaps after a big win like that last night. But betting markets don't believe it's a flat spot because this line's moved 60 cents. Pretty much. It's even gone higher than the minus 230 that you see on the screen right now for the New York Rangers. So, definitely a lot of Rangers love. Jarl Halak will be in net, which I expected after, of course, Shesterkin played against Pittsburgh last night. Nashville, desperate team. They need the points for any hope for the playoffs as they cling to slim playoff hopes in the Western Conference. A 3-2 overtime loss to Winnipeg yesterday. This one, I don't trust Nashville. And I think Nashville spot-wise is in a decent situation, off a loss, desperate, getting a big price. But maybe the draw, do you want to sprinkle on the draw perhaps? Maybe. I could see that. Maybe a couple bucks on the draw might not be a bad idea here. With Halak and net in particular, you don't expect the Rangers maybe to run away with this game like they did last night. But we do expect Kevin Lankinen to be in net here tonight for the Predators, although it has not been confirmed yet. His numbers actually aren't that bad. 8-6, 2.46 goals against average, 925 save percentage for Lankinen going into this game. So that's not bad. I do lean to the over with the Predators and the Rangers tonight, especially with the backups in net for their respective teams. And I might sprinkle on the draw. That's pretty much it. I mean, if you're going to look at a Nashville prop, it's still Thomas Novak and Cody Glass. Those are the two guys. Cody Glass, Thomas Novak. Cody Glass repair, Cody Glass replace. Yeah, definitely. He's been very good for the Nashville Predators. And Thomas Novak, too. I mean, those are the two guys that are getting it done offensively for Nashville. Rangers, obviously, there's always just so many different options you could roll with for them. But I'll mention the players that are in good form right now. Vinny Trocheck's the guy. Points in 4 straight games. Great chemistry with Kane on his line. And you're seeing it. It's making Trocheck a better player. 3-game point streaks for both Sir Patrick Kane and Vladimir Tarasenko and Zibanejad and Panarin and Adam Fox. So look at it. Everyone's in good form right now for the New York Rangers. So you could go in a bunch of different areas with their props tonight. Alex, how about you? Nashville, New York.
We didn't talk about how rough of a beat over 6.5 was with that Ranger Penguin game last night, yeah. And that's absolutely brutal. And I was really mad too because I'm looking at all these goals being scored. And I'm like, where the hell is Sir Patrick Kane? He assisted on like 2 of them. Couldn't get one in himself, and I had that plus 195, plus 198 ticket.
Bad beat on his goal prop, exactly.
Yeah, the bad beat on his goal prop. Yeah. They were left and right, and he couldn't get one in. But like I said, he's making the team better, and that's what I don't know. Everybody just thought that he would just pop up and all of a sudden be like MVP caliber Sir Patrick Kane. That's not the case. The thing is, he's a facilitator. He's become a facilitator in the last 3 years. He made Panarin look good enough to get the money he's got and be in New York right now. He made Alex DeBrincat look good. Like he's been. That he's adapted to that role of not just he's going to score first. He's a playmaker, and that's the perfect fit for this Ranger offense right now. When he's facilitating things, and it's funny. I think I brought it up. I know I brought it up to you, but I might have mentioned on the show live about how I wanted to see where Patrick Kane's going to be slotted in the power play because he's always used to playing point. He's the main quarterback, and the fact that they didn't do that, they slotted him more toward the wing. Because Trouba is the point in that umbrella system. I thought that was fantastic because now you still have him on a slot in a space where he could still come back around and be QB. He's almost the swing guy, which is usually what that second defensive spot is in that kind of a scenario. So, I mean, this Rangers offense, like I said on Twitter last night, that this is the big bad wolf. This is Omar coming down and shaking everybody on the corners. This is a Ranger offense. Yeah, it's going to be very tough to deal with. And when you match it up with a Shesterkin that's playing lights out, yeah, good luck to you in a best of 7 against those guys. This game here, though, like I said, maybe they sleep a little bit at the wheel early in the game. If I played anything in Nashville, it would be first period money line. But I just don't trust Nashville right now. And like I said, Lankinen, good numbers, but we know how shaky he can be. So this feels like a game I'm probably just going to start and pick at live. I'm not going to do anything pre-game and just kind of watch and see. Maybe New York is completely disinterested and Nashville jumps out and you can find some ways to bet them to score, next goal and different things like that. If it's Rangers dominating and slowing the pace, wait for that total to drop down and then maybe bet the over at a 5.5 or even a 4.5.
All right, there we go. So live betting game for Alex here with Preds and Rangers. All right, Winnipeg Jets and St. Louis Blues. Winnipeg minus 130, road favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. Great win for the Jets. Great because it was a big win. They were down, and they were down against the run of play, or the run of play was on their side. Like they were all over Nashville in that first period. You talk about bad beats. And I had a piece of the Jets puck line first period too with the Jets money line. I split with the money line winning, but the first period puck line was 13-3 shots on goal for Winnipeg in that, and it was 1-0 Nashville. You can't script that shit. I mean, just very unfortunate. Winnipeg was the better team, and yet they're down 1-0 after the first period. But they came back, they won. Great show of fortitude. You could tell, and they show Winnipeg Jets Twitter and Facebook had the post-game speech from Bonus. You could tell that was a revved up, rejuvenated, energized dressing room after that win. I think they could ride that into tonight. The only thing I'm holding off on is who's in net for the Jets on the back-to-back. I think with the games being so important, it wouldn't shock me to see them roll right back to Connor Hellebuck, even on a back-to-back. Keep in mind, this is day game to night game for the Winnipeg Jets. So it's not the true back-to-back where you're going 2 night games in a row. There's a little more downtime here for the Winnipeg Jets. If it's Hellebuck in net, I'll be on Winnipeg. because I think minus 130 against St. Louis is cheap, even with Joel Hofer back in net. And I'll give him credit, played well against the Washington Capitals. He is probably their guy long-term in the future. He looks 8 years old, but he could be a very good goaltender for the St. Louis Blues for a very long time. And he played very well against the Washington Capitals. But, we talked about the Capitals' inconsistencies. They don't know what you're going to get one game to the next from them. If it's Hellebuck, I will be on Winnipeg just because I have no issues fading St. Louis in a price range this cheap. But I'm waiting on that. I'm not taking Winnipeg if it's Big Civ Dave. And by the way, the Jets have been good on back-to-back, 5-0. Their last 5 tries on the second night of back-to-back games for the Winnipeg Jets. So strong lean Winnipeg. I'm just holding off, though, on the Hellebuck confirmation. If it's him, I'm on Winnipeg. If it's not, I'm probably off it. What do you think here, Alex? Jets, Blues?
Yeah, Wally Pipp had a headache once, and they brought in Lou Gehrig with the New York Yankees, and he pretty much took over that spot for the rest of his career. It's interesting. Jordan Bennington has been giving the St. Louis Blues and people a headache, and he gets out, and now Joel Hofer seems to be the heir apparent. It seems like this guy might actually have a legitimate chance to steal, if not take over a backup spot, but certainly I would seem like maybe even get a shot at number 1 next camp if he can impress and dazzle. And he has already done that so far with the Blues. Like I said, great numbers in the AHL, looked sharp in that first start. So be interested to see if he can do it again against a top tier division rival and quality opponent in the Winnipeg Jets. But it's a tough order to ask. I mean, he can do so much. It's just the team in front of him is no good. So I like Winnipeg as well. I'd lay the 130 with its Hellebuck. Probably would maybe wait and try to grab something in game and see how things are if it's Riddick. Riddick's been okay, serviceable, but just he's found ways to win because his team has played well in front of him. That's the thing. He hasn't done great himself. If he can give you just a halfway decent effort and the team in front of him give you some goals, that's not a bad look. But obviously can't back St. Louis in any spot here. It's Jets or nothing. And like you, I'm waiting for Hellebuck to be confirmed.
All right, there we go. Jets or nothing for Alex P. Smith here as well in this game. And yeah, I'm just waiting on the Hellebuck confirmation. As far as props go for this one, there are some props of note. Buchnevich has a point in 11 straight games for St. Louis, but again, his prop is not great. You'd probably have to throw it into a parlay. Jordan Kyrou heating up. Braden Shen. Kyrou and Shen for the Blues have points in 4 straight games. So if you believe in riding the point streaks, that's the way you go. Jacob Vrana, goes without saying, the goal prop, the point prop, the shots on goal prop for Jacob Vrana with the St. Louis Blues is always something I'm looking at right now. He's definitely made an impact since joining the Blues lineup. And on the Winnipeg side, it's double N. It's Nino Niederreiter. I thought he was all over the Nashville net yesterday against the Predators, and it's unfortunate he didn't score because he had a bunch of chances. He had 4 shots on goal. He had no points. That's now 2 games in a row without a point for Niederreiter after being on a tear. He had 7 straight games with a point. The last 2 games he's had no points, but you look at it, he had 4 shots against both the Blues, not the Blues, but yeah, the Predators and then the Bruins before that. He had chances. He had shots. He was noticeable. He was making things happen. The puck just wasn't going in for him the last 2 games. So I'm going back to Nino to score a goal tonight to get a point, and I definitely like his over shots on goal. No question about it. He's had 4 shots on goal in the last 2 games for the Winnipeg Jets. So Nino Niederreiter props, which have been a staple for me lately. We're going to go right back to the well with it tonight. All right, final game of this Sunday card. Vancouver Canucks, Anaheim Ducks. Playing for exercise. Vancouver minus 130. Road favorites here on the total 6.5. You already know what I'm betting in this game. You already know it because we're not going to see Demko tonight. I'd be shocked. On a back-to-back after the big shootout win last night against the LA Kings. If anything, I'd lean Anaheim here as a home underdog. Honestly, I would actually lean to the Ducks a little bit here. I could see Vancouver, the big win last night against one of the better teams in the West, which honestly they only won because Demko was outstanding. They did get outshot, outplayed, outchanced, but Demko was fantabulous in the game. But now they're on a back-to-back here against the Anaheim Ducks tonight. It's worth noting Canucks actually aren't bad on a back-to-back, 5-5, 500 record, 6-2 to the over for the Vancouver Canucks on a back-to-back. And obviously with Demko being the starting goaltender last night for the Vancouver Canucks, we project and we expect it to be Colin Delia here tonight for the Canucks. So big drop off, and that's putting it mildly. Going from especially Demko's form last night to Delia with a 3.51 goals against average and 876 save percentage going into this game tonight. On the Anaheim side, we expect it to be John Gibson, but not confirmed. Obviously, Adam Henrique still out for them. Anthony Stolar still on IR. They gave Lucas Dostal the start against Columbus on Friday night, but probably back to John Gibson, I'm assuming, although that hasn't been confirmed just yet. I like over 6.5 here with the Canucks and the Ducks. There we go. I thought I changed the graphic. There we go. I like over 6.5 here with Vancouver and Anaheim. Obviously, I expect Anaheim to score against the Canucks tonight. Delia, the huge drop-off. Remember, they did give up 40 shots last night to the LA Kings, so it's not like they played a crisp, clean defensive game, even though they held the LA Kings to 2 goals last night. Goalie kind of bailed them out. And look, the one thing about Anaheim, Alex, is they're playing exciting hockey. They're scoring some goals. You look at the Ducks of late, 3, 4, 3, and 7. So this team's put up 17 goals in their last 4 games combined. I think they find the back of the net here against Vancouver. 3 straight Anaheim games have gone over. Last 2 for the Canucks have gone under, and they've kind of been more, under than over with Rick Tocchet behind the bench as of late. But I think this one does set up to be higher scoring, and it is still worth noting 2 of the last 3 meetings have gone over between the Canucks and the Ducks. So, yeah, for me, over 6.5, minus 135 in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Vancouver, Anaheim.
Yep, love over, but I'm not laying 135. I'm waiting for this thing to drop down to plus money, and then I'll hit it. So 6.5, anything at even money or better, I'll be on the over.
This is one where I'm very interested as well. Put a few bucks on it at least. Both teams to score in the first period. I think definitely you could see that here tonight.
Yeah,
I think that's not a bad option at all. Both teams get a goal first 20 minutes of the game. I think that's definitely a decent possibility here with Vancouver.
That's probably a good look for the Canucks the rest of the way. Any Canucks game down the stretch, that's something to consider.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and in this game, certainly, I think it makes a lot of sense to look in that direction. By the way, when I mentioned Thomas Novak earlier, I knew he's been good lately for Nashville. It's actually a 5-game point streak for him. So, yeah, I knew it was a pretty good streak. So, again, that's been almost automatic, the Thomas Novak point prop for Nashville lately. But as far as props in this game, Terry has a point streak of 3 games. Same with Zegras. I mean, that's where you got to start and end with Anaheim props right now. Those 2 guys, Troy Terry, Trevor Zegras, for them. Kuzmenko, of course, 7 of the last 10 games, he's gotten a point. Cam Fowler from the blue line as well. So those are some good player prop betting options, in my opinion, here for Vancouver and Anaheim. Great stuff. That is the Sunday card. We appreciate everybody joining us. It's not always easy. We really do appreciate on the Sunday shows in particular, you guys joining us, because Sunday's like that family day and time to really, get away from everything. And the fact you're still here, 200 plus strong live on a Sunday Ice Guys show, we really do appreciate it. It's not lost on us. We thank you for that. Hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube. Shout out to our podcast listeners as well for tuning into this Sunday edition of the show. And a reminder, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 a month. Power ratings, goalie charts, totals charts, the daily Ice Guys show betting card, and a whole lot more. All available. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. People always say, man, you guys deliver such great content, such analysis, such info, stats, picks, and with great reasoning behind it all. And we just enjoy the extensive analysis that only you guys offer when it comes to NHL. How do we give you a little thank you? That's the thank you. $10 a month. Be on that Patreon page and enjoy the bonus content that we provide there as well. That's your way of giving us a little thank you for our daily work here on the show. So check it out, patreon.com, sign up /Ice Guys, sign up and subscribe, just $10 a month.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate everybody, like I said, watching and supporting the podcast. And we'll have stuff up, like I said, throughout the week. We'll be adding some things. I'll have the goalie chart updated by tonight or tomorrow. So looking forward to doing that. And also check out the Ice Guys store. For the next 4 days, still 20% off of everything in the store. Someone found the secret item, the St. Pat's t-shirt. I'm sending them a gift personally this week. So we also have a giveaway that's coming out pretty soon. We're going to drop details about that sometime this week, maybe tomorrow. So stay tuned to that as well. But definitely check out 20% off everything for the next 4 days at the Ice Guys store. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Well, for everything except the over 6.5 in that Bruins Sabres game, bad start. 1-0 Boston already in the first minute over the Buffalo Sabres. But I did put it over 6.5 in, punch that in as a bet too. So it's a good start for that at least, but still a long way to go. But that's not exactly what you want to see though if you're the Buffalo team that's already in a little confidence crisis right now. These last few games, but early underway there. We've got a few more afternoon games too. So great Sunday slate. Looking forward to seeing it all unfold. We'll be back to wrap things up with best bets for this Sunday edition of the Ice Guys right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the promo code ICE Guys. That's promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, it's about 14 million balls that you can preserve. The Performance Package 4.0 is the complete accessory package to take care of everything that is required. You've got, of course, the Lawnmower 4.0. Takes care of your facial hair and among other things. You've got, of course, the Weed Whacker. I'm approaching 40. Nose hair has become a major issue. It pisses the hell out of me. I need to take care of that shit, and the Weed Whacker can help you do that. Both of these products, waterproof and a 4000K LED spotlight for a more precise shave. And you'll also be able to take care of those delicate areas with the ball toner, with the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good, looking good, and feeling good down in the nether regions. This complete Performance Package 4.0 will take care of everything for you, for all you guys out there, and it's courtesy of our good friends at manscaped.com. So get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. And use promo code ICEGUYS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we're back and ready to wrap it up with best bets here for this Sunday edition of the Ice Guys. Alex, we know which game your best bet's coming from clearly. It's just which one will you target for best bet from that Columbus-Vegas matchup?
Yeah, so I mean, I love all three of these plays equally, but I had to pick one of the bunch, and I'm going to pick the one that is obviously widely available and still at a decent price, hasn't shifted too far. We're going to go with the Vegas Golden Knights first period puck line. So you're laying a half a goal at plus 105. It's still available at Bet Online. I like that as much as laying $1.10. So normally I don't, lay a price and lay a half a goal on the puck line. But this is a case worthy doing that. So anything at plus money or up to minus $1.10, I say all systems go for the Vegas Golden Knights first period puck line against Columbus this afternoon. My best bet for Sunday.
Yeah, and that's really the bet that I like most out of that swatch of bets too, that first period puck line. And it's the best value too, because you get plus money on it, plus 105 to plus 110 with Vegas first period puck line against the Columbus Blue Jackets for best bet here for Alex B. Smith on this Sunday card. My best bet, we've had a rocky road this week with this New Jersey Devils team because I swung and missed with them twice against Tampa Bay in New Jersey. This is the night the tables turn. New Jersey gets it done. Devils plus 110. New Jersey plus 110 against Tampa Bay. That is going to be my best bet here for this Sunday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. Oh, and before we wrap it up, Betcast Tuesday night. Make sure you join us. Looking forward to it. These have been a lot of fun. We've got another one on Tuesday night coming up. March 21st, 7 p.m. Eastern, live betting and commentary, me, Alex, and all of our guests, our viewers and listeners, drinking encouraged, pub and bar atmosphere with all of these betcasts. That's what makes them fun. So make sure if you want to join us on the betcast, you DM me at Bobano on Twitter, or email bobano350@gmail.com to request a spot on the Betcast, and we'll make sure we send you the link prior to Tuesday night. So check that out. Ice Guys Live Betcast coming up on Tuesday night. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Monday as we start a brand new week on the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.